Hi, everybody. Welcome to week 2. This is pretty much economics week. So we're going to talk about how politics and economics sort of interact this week. And today, I think if you've sort of noticed from the first videos that you were watching, we're going to really talk about, today, we're going to talk about how the politics, economics interact, and we're going to use coronavirus as sort of or the coronavirus situation as our starting point. So what we're going to talk about today, we have basically 3 things we want to talk about. 2 things are going to be quick and easy. 1 thing's going to be longer. The first 2 things are going to be, we're going to talk about what political economy actually is, and then we're going to talk about what public goods are, and then we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about one particular example about political economy, and that's money. And we're going to try and do it thinking about the coronavirus and how you sort of restart the economy, or how you deal with the economy in the midst of this coronavirus situation. Hopefully that'll give you some more to think about while you're watching the news and can understand it more, explain things to your little brother, and look really smart. Okay, so where we're going to start is we're going to start with a definition of political economy. And it's pretty simple. I mean, it's all political economy is just how politics interacts with economics and vice versa. That's really all that it is. And the truth of the matter is it interacts a lot. We're going to see on Thursday that one of the things about capitalism and a market economy is that we have this sort of theory about it, I guess you could say, which is what's called laissez-faire. We'll talk about that later, but laissez-faire, which is essentially the government should stay out of economics. Politics should stay out of economics. The truth of the matter is that rarely happens. It's more of laissez-faire is more of a myth than a reality. So politics interacts with economics and economics interacts with politics. Like I said, Adam Smith, who we'll talk a little bit more about on Thursday, back in 1776, has nothing to do with the American Revolution. He says economy grows best when the government stays out of it. And if you ever take an economics class, the math plays out, right? The economy sort of, every time the government gets involved, it makes the economy a little less efficient. The problem is that this is impossible. We need the government to be involved in a lot of things. And I'll just give you some examples why. So for example, we want some regulations. So you might say, like, what regulations do we really want? We want the government out of economics. Well, that's not really true. If we just let the free market do whatever it wants, you should be able to buy whatever you want, including, for example, people. So we've said along the way, well, no slavery. That is a government regulation. You can't buy other human beings. And we find that to be a pretty good regulation. And so we do want the government to get involved in some of these things. Some other regulations might be a minimum wage, or we're going to limit the work week to 40 hours. And if you work over 40 hours, you have to get this thing called overtime, again, so that businesses don't exploit workers. Maybe we want rules about sexual harassment in the workplace. Maybe we want rules that say, if you're going to sell medicines, they have to be approved by this agency, the FDA, so that we don't have like bad medicines out there or things that don't work or things that will kill you. So we want regulations in the economy, and that's going to be the government. So regulations are going to be sort of the starting point here. Another one's going to be all economic institutions are really created and maintained using politics. So I'll just give you a very simple one, and that is private property. Private property is sort of the basis of capitalism, blah, blah, blah. All private property means is that this thing, in my hand I have this eye pencil. You can see me drawing with it. This is mine. I own it. If someone comes in here and steals it from me, the government gets involved. That very basic idea about ownership and all that is an economic idea that is supported by government. So again, all these economic institutions we talk about, they are created and they're supported by the government. Another thing is economic outcomes turn around and impact politics. And if you need a good example of this, just go turn on your TV and look at the coronavirus. Essentially, because we don't want the coronavirus to spread, the government has said everybody stay home. That hugely impacts economics. And the economics of it is driving the politics as well. How long should we stay home? who should stay open, that sort of stuff. So these things are all constantly being involved. The politics and the economics are constantly in action. There's one more thing we're going to talk about on the next slide, and that's called public goods. It's going to be really important to how politics and economics interacts. But the main thing I want to point out here before you watch the next video is this means there's a close relationship between politics and economics. Even if we love capitalism, we think it's delicious, we're still going to have this very close relationship between politics and economics. All right, watch next video on free rider problem.